Week 3, 3rd and goal. Don't mind the fact that I look like I just got out of my day job. Let's do this.
So, another week of NFL behind us. And yes, he did just get off his day job. Just kidding. Actually, no, I'm not. I mean, there's a lot of news that just came out actually within the last day. So let's start with the most, let's start with
There was a lot that happened this week.
Yeah, a lot of shit happened actually. But Drew Brees out for 6 weeks, tore ligaments in his thumb. Throwing thumb to be exact. Wow.
I saw what happened. You know, my man Aaron Donald coming over there and swat. Looked like a jammed finger, honestly, but I guess it was a bit worse than that because he's out for 6 weeks.
Jeez, you just hate to see it. That just sounds painful. Like, my hands hurt just thinking about that. But Drew Brees out. Teddy Bridgewater comes in, and yeah, it wasn't pretty. Next man up, maybe? Taysom Hill, maybe? Oh, my God. Could you imagine the Saints offense with Taysom Hill in there 24/7?
Well, I mean...
Oh, my God.
Remember when we all thought that Teddy Bridgewater might actually have some potential?
Yeah, we thought things.
But, I mean, I think this is what's going to happen. They're going to start Bridgewater, at least for a game, and they're going to continue to use Taysom Hill in this kind of gadget role. But I think if Bridgewater comes out and shits the bed for a game or two, they'll go to Taysom.
My prediction is Teddy Bridgewater was paid a lot of money. He's probably one of the highest paid backups in the NFL right now. So they're paying him. He's on the payroll. They have to start him at least halfway through next game. I think you're right. I think they're going to see what Teddy Bridgewater does. First couple of quarters, if he doesn't do good, third quarter they throw in a few gadget plays with Taysom Hill throwing. Sees Taysom Hill can literally run better than most big running backs in the NFL and then throw as good as, I mean, not as good as the best, but, he can hang in there. I think, honestly, Taysom Hill by the fourth quarter could be starting the full game. I
mean, realistically, though, if Taysom Hill started for the Saints, what does he do? I mean, like, are we talking about Tim Tebow 2.0, or, like, what, do you think he's maybe a little better than that?
No, I think, honestly, you're going to see a lot of what the Ravens did, and if you watch our other video, Charm City Beat, coming out later, you will see what we're talking about. Him and Taysom Hill work a lot of, similar ways, but the difference between Taysom Hill and Lamar Jackson is Taysom Hill's massive. Taysom Hill's as big as some inside linebackers. So you're talking about a guy out there that can run about as good as any power rusher. He's massive. He can throw. I mean, I don't think it's a Tebow situation. Tebow wasn't the size or, I dare say, the skill of what Taysom Hill is.
I mean, I think you might be hyping up Taysom a little bit too much, but
yeah.
But we'll get to see. I mean, I think at some point Taysom, there's a good chance he will get a chance to start a game.
Yeah.
And at that point, we'll see what happens.
I mean, this is do or die for him. I mean, this could make or break his NFL career. If he shows off, we already know what he can do athletically. If he shows up and actually manages to keep the Saints in contention before Drew Brees gets back, teams are going to be looking at him. I mean, there's hella teams out there that lost their quarterbacks. Look at the Jags, for example. I mean, that's just one team. And, I mean, who knows what the hell's going on in Washington with the Redskins. So, I mean, there's so many teams out there that could potentially start looking his way if he has a few good games. So, how long will he be that gadget player in the Saints? Who knows? It all comes down to the next few weeks, honestly.
I will say this, if you're in one of those fantasy leagues, it's like a 2-quarterback or flex a quarterback, wouldn't hurt to put this guy on your bench.
Why don't we make our league a 2-quarterback? That'd be cool. Whatever. Can't complain. I'm the GM. I don't know why the hell I didn't make that decision. Whatever. Next up, the Giants bench Eli for Daniel Jones. Personally, after his preseason, I expected this probably to come. I guess it's about right time. Yeah, I guess it's about right. Give him 2 games, see what he could do.
Well, look, I mean, you know what my opinion is of Daniel Jones as a quarterback prospect, but I will say this.
You were wrong about Deshaun Watson, for the record.
But here's the thing. The best way to improve as a player is to actually get on the field and start the ones. Yes, you have, sure, there was Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre, Pat Mahomes basically sat behind Alex Smith for a year more or less. But so there are success stories of quarterbacks that sat. But generally speaking, you're better off getting the playing time, getting the reps early.
I mean, this isn't the old school NFL. I mean, the game's a lot faster now than it was in the days of, like, you know, Tom Brady sitting behind Drew Bledsoe or Aaron Rodgers behind, you know, Brett Favre. But, so, I mean, I'm interested to see what Daniel Jones can do with at full NFL speed, not preseason. We're talking full speed, regular season. I'm interested to see what he can do because that's really going to prove if that draft pick was really worth it. There were a lot of people outside of the Giants, and even inside that fan base, that were saying, like, what the hell are you doing? First round pick on this guy? So,
well, and I think we talked about this before, but that was the weirdest thing about it to me is that usually you don't see a whole lot of criticizing of first round picks by like the sports media, but everyone seemed like they were hating on this dude. Like everybody,
they were going hard on him,
and so I think it's gonna be interesting to see how he responds. I will say this: he does kind of have an out because while he has Barkley on his offense, he doesn't have much else to work with. Not a great line. He does have Evan Ingram, but the receivers are trash. So, I mean, you can't really expect much out of him. But I think that once we get into Daniel Jones' second, third year, that's when we're really going to see, is he the quarterback of the future or is he just a dud?
I mean, if I had to say so, if I had to make a prediction, I think, honestly, he's going to have probably one of the most mediocre years ever, and that goes to the fact there aren't a lot of weapons. I think next year is really when you're going to see what he can do when they start to build a team around him. It's going to be very similar. Again, why do I can use this as a reference point forever. Similar to what happened with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. They built a team around a guy, and now look at them. So if you start putting good receivers around him and you build that line, you may have a decent quarterback. You may have something here that could really threaten the NFC East.
I mean, and there's nothing that says that Daniel Jones can't be another Eli Manning.
No.
I mean, he
looks just like him.
I mean, why can't a Daniel Jones be an above-average starting quarterback in the NFL for a while? But I'm just saying I don't think he's going to be the second coming of Pat Mahomes is all I'm trying to say.
I don't think that's at all. I think, honestly, if I had to make an educated guess right here, right now, and we're not talking like long shot guess, we're talking just straight down the middle on stats and expectations, we're going to have probably a pretty decent game manager, at least this year, out of, you know, Daniel Jones. And I think next year he's going to open a little more. Is he going to reach elite levels? Who knows? He might. I mean, but I'm not saying that today. I think, honestly, you're going to get a serious game manager. And will they stay in contention? Don't probably think so. I think the Cowboys are just too damn good right now. And I don't see that train slowing down. You got Dak playing for a, you know, contract extension, so he's going to go off all year. Any team that plays him, good luck. But yeah, I don't think the Giants are a playoff team this year at all. Maybe next year.
We'll just have to see. I think the major flaw of the Giants really has to do with their front office decisions, how they're drafting and picking up players. Yeah. I mean, granted, Barkley's a hell of a player, arguably best running back in the NFL, but here's the thing, like, you added a big-time back at a time when your team's not even competitive. Yeah. So, like, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
I mean, the fact he can do what he can do, I mean, he did what he did last year was impressive enough. This year, now they got some footage on him. Probably not going to have the same type of season. But, again, he's a good security blanket for a young quarterback, though. Get some dump routes on him, you know, get him in open space, see what happens. So, I mean, I think that's going to be the Giants' game plan moving forward. Now, going further, a little bit southwest, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a mess. Pittsburgh's wild. Jimmy would be kicking my ass right now if he heard. Well, he's going to be watching this video. But Pittsburgh, wow. I mean, they're just, you just hate to see it, man. Ben Rothlisberger out for the entire season with an elbow injury. Steelers are 0-2. Mason Rudolph is now the starter, and this screams shades of Maddox and Roethlisberger from about 10, 12 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, didn't you put out some polls on whether Roethlisberger's going to retire?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the biggest question. It's like, I mean, I called it last year. I said to myself, I was like, Ben Roethlisberger is not, he's going to retire this year. I said to myself, and I said to a few other people, I said, Ben Roethlisberger's done, dude. He's not playing. Yes, he's had the stats, but, I mean, you can tell in the man's face he's just not into it. You saw him, Sunday Night Football last week. That was probably the worst I've seen him ever play.
I'm surprised he's lasted as long as he has because he's been one of the most beat up quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Because he likes to extend the play. He likes to try to shrug off tackles in the pocket. And you've seen him take a beating over the course of his career. So honestly, I'm surprised he's even lasted this long.
Yeah.
And with the season-ending injury, I'm saying yes, he is going to retire. If he does come back, I don't think it's going to be for the Steelers. I think if he ends up coming back, he's going to start on some other team.
Yeah. I mean, we did Twitter polls, we did Facebook polls. On Twitter, 79% of you said yes, and 21% of you said no. A little bit more closer on Facebook, still pretty decisive. 65% said yes, that he would retire, and 35% said no. Obviously, a lot more Steelers fans on Facebook than Twitter. But, yeah, I mean, I don't see him coming back for the Steelers. Of course, he said, actually in a statement, he said he's looking to come back next year. I don't see that. I think, honestly, there's going to probably come a time where he has to really think about, what am I doing? I mean, the injuries he's had, I mean, he's played in the AFC North really well.
Well, and plus, who says the Steelers are going to want him back? They're going to get to see what they have in Mason Rudolph, and if he turns out to be good, then why bring back Rothlisberger?
I mean, he came into the game and actually showed up. Let's put a whole game behind him. Let's see what the team can do. I mean, I think, honestly, when they drafted Mason, it was like, okay, this is our quarterback of the future. And I remember there was a whole controversy with Ben not reaching out to him or some weird stuff like that. You know, a little jealousy here. But, again, I'm predicting a Maddox-Roethlisberger situation only in 2019. That's my bold prediction, without question. But in other Steelers news, Minkah Fitzpatrick was traded from the Dolphins for a first-round pick. Now, I've gotten mixed reactions. I've got people that said this is the dumbest trade, at least in terms of the Steelers, especially when their team's so uncertain. You know, there's a few holes there. I mean, they lost Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, and you gave away a first-round pick for a safety that was on the Dolphins.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I don't think it's that bad because you have to consider that Minkah Fitzpatrick is still a really young player. He's like 22 years old. He was a first-round pick by the Dolphins. So it's kind of like, you know, the Dolphins spent a first round on him. They're getting the first round back. Minkah's going to the Steelers. I don't think it's a terrible trade, honestly. I think the Dolphins are in rebuilding mode, so they'd probably rather just have the draft pick.
Which is great. I mean, when you have a draft where Tua's coming out, and again, we have no idea what he's going to do compared to what he did in Alabama. I mean, for all we know, this guy could definitely turn out to be an NFL bust, but the potential is high there. So Miami definitely looks like they're gearing up to build a team. I think, honestly, they go for a quarterback. I don't see them winning much at all this year.
Well, let's say that the Dolphins did end up having like the first pick in the draft and got Tua.
They're getting him.
And then they have the other first round pick. They can invest that now in
a receiver
or an offensive lineman. You know, they can start to build pieces around. Whereas if you just keep Fitzpatrick, I mean, yeah, he's a good defensive player.
For the Dolphins, it works out wonders. My thing is with the Steelers, and again, you just lost your franchise quarterback. Again, Mason Rudolph, drafted to be the quarterback of the future in my mind a few years ago. So we're going to finally see what he can do. But there's other holes there. You lost arguably two of the biggest offensive weapons in the NFL. And not to mention, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I think the Steelers are going to have a hard time really going somewhere this year, in my opinion. But the thing is, like I said, Fitzpatrick's still a young player. Mm-hmm. So, you know, he's still going to be there.
We can see what he can do. I mean, again, the Steelers needed him. I mean, they needed a defensive back. They've needed a safety for quite some years. So, I mean, getting him, it might work out for him. I hope not, honestly, as a Ravens fan. But from an NFL fan, I could see this. I hope it works out for them, just not against the Ravens.
I mean, they basically plucked one of the few remaining players with potential off the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are virtually having a clearance sale right now.
The Dolphins, man, a team with like virtually no talent.
None.
I'm thinking about dropping Devontae Parker in fantasy.
You might as well. It's not going to happen with him. I mean,
what's the point?
The Dolphins are literally a skeleton crew right now, and it's sad. Yeah. again, I think, you know, Minkah Fitzpatrick, probably for him, best move he's ever made. He's on a potentially winning team, at least a historically winning team. So, I mean, we're going to see what his career does. We'll be paying attention to that. Now for the game ball, Pat Mahomes. 443 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns in an amazing victory. They are 2-0, last year's MVP. Game ball's yours, bro.
I mean, hey, best quarterback in the league. I feel like starting just one season.
Who would have thought?
Season was an MVP, awesome. And now rolling into next year, it's just the same shit.
Yeah. I mean, keep the train going, dude. Like, I mean, literally, we are watching one of the future greats, honestly. But he takes on the Ravens, who are as red hot this week, and you know, going up against Lamar Jackson, both of them with 7 touchdown passes apiece. Both of them are doing amazing. It's going to be a great shootout. I'm excited to see that. That's great football. But that does it for this week's episode of 3rd and Goal. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. We have other videos. We have a new episode of Charm City Beat and some UFC videos featuring our boy Pat. Yeah, so stay tuned for that and so much more. Take care.